Canon Story Company presents Page and Stage, the podcast that explores the art and craft of writing and performance. I'm your host, Jason Cannon, and if you want to learn more about why stories matter and how to tell yours, come visit me at canonstory.com. That's C-A-N-N-O-N story.com. A quick reminder that I put links to each guest's full bio, websites, and projects in the show notes, so be sure to go check them out. Now, let's meet our guest for this episode of the Page and Stage podcast. I am here with the one and only Elizabeth Ann Townsend, and what a journey it has been, Elizabeth. My goodness, it is so good to see you again after all these years.
Yes, it's so good to see you too. Yes, I'm based in St. Louis. That's right.
Back in St. Louis. And I don't know if you were connected with St. Louis Shakespeare or not, but something that I just saw happening was after 40 years and being one of only 7 companies in the country to perform Shakespeare's entire canon, they have just closed their final Shakespeare show with a performance of Twelfth Night.
Oh no. They just closed it. I had heard that they were shutting down after 40 years. It's so sad.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about that too, because I mean, Donna Northcott, my goodness, what a body of work. There was a whole group like that. Like I saw a picture on Facebook or whatever of like dozens of actors and designers and directors who have worked there. Like I got my first professional gig at St. Louis Shakespeare when I first moved from Greenville College to St. Louis. And it just has me thinking about legacy and leaving tracks and what is I'm a canon. What's a canon, right?
Yeah, right. Oh, I know. It's really sad. But, I think about how lucky I was. The first show that I did in St. Louis, I was cast before I got there. I was still in Cleveland, and I did an audition for Wake and Sing, Steve Wolf, and
Yes.
I did it at the SAG office, and I got to work with you.
Yes.
That was amazing. What an amazing cast. What an amazing show that was.
I mean, actors, storytellers of any kind all have like their top 10, but actors I know specifically often have those top 10 shows. Like for me, Awake and Sing. Can I called you Liz back then. Is that okay? Or
of course you can call me Liz. That's fine.
Okay. But that show, man, I would put that up in my maybe top 5. The ensemble, the design,
yes,
everything about it was just like everything you dream of and hope for as a performer.
Oh, yes. It was an amazing experience. And what a way to enter the St. Louis theater scene.
Talk a little bit about, so I'm going to jump back in time in a second here, but I'd forgotten that was your very first show in St. Louis. And quick fun fact for listeners, if you've seen or heard my podcast with Seth Gordon a few weeks back, Seth and Liz have been a hot item for many years. And I'd forgotten that the two of you had moved to St. Louis from Cleveland. Talk a little bit about that transition and what brought you to St. Louis.
Seth had been the associate artistic director of the Cleveland Playhouse. And so he had this opportunity to be the associate artistic director at the Repertory Theater of St. Louis and met Steve Wolf. And he says in his own words that I think it was 11 years we were there were his favorite professional years of his entire career.
Yeah.
That working with him and working with the community and just the level of production values and actors, it was just the best. But I was sorry to leave Cleveland, but I was within 3 hours of my family for the first time, and I spent 22 years in New York City. So we owned a house that I loved, and it was hard, but we totally did the right thing. It was really a decent move, but
yeah, sometimes you don't know till you look back.
Well, exactly.
And I'm happy now, but I wanted that job and Seth took it from me.
Did you want that job?
Oh man, I would have killed for that job. At that time, I would have killed for that job. That theater is so strong. They're so great. And Steve Wolf, rest in peace. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, rest in peace. I mean, it was a joy. The different shows that I got to do there, good people. It was really, and an, an excellent, excellent experience that I will always hold close to my heart, for
So
sure.
you mentioned 22 years in New York and then Cleveland. So let's back up before that, because
Okay.
every actor has that moment. There, I call it the storyteller origin story. They have that moment where suddenly life opens up and they go, I have to do theater and nothing else. And sometimes it happens when they're 5, sometimes it happens when they're 55. But what is Liz Townsend's origin story? What made you want to be an actor?
Well, I have to say that I've always been, as my sister says, a highly emotional person. And you're so dramatic, I kind of had to give it a job. No, anyway. So, yeah, it's really interesting. I started acting when something came available. I was like 15. I did stuff in high school and whatnot. When I was 15. And
And I'm sorry, where was this? Because you
I'm
said
sorry.
3 hours from family and
I'm sorry. I grew up on a big farm just south of Jackson, Michigan.
Michigan. Oh, great. Okay, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, just south of Jackson, Michigan. Yeah. And so, I mean, I started performing the first chance I had when I was like in church choir, and then we did these rock operas and stuff. I was looking for anything I could possibly do, Godspell, all that stuff.
Right.
And then it was when I was a senior in high school and I played Annie Oakley in Annie Get Your Gun. And it was the most, I mean, she was a kindred spirit. I mean, I could totally identify with her and take that emotional journey, that whole journey
Hmm.
and sing all those songs. And I wasn't a great singer. I could keep a tune, but I don't have these major pipes. But it was really, and then of course it didn't hurt that people were standing up and applauding and all of this kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, that a little drug.
Yeah, a little drug, little dopamine hit. But I want to tell you something else that was really interesting. From the time I was 9 years old, I wanted to be a jockey. I'm a horsewoman. Uh, yeah, yeah. And I grew up with horses and I had fantasies. I mean, Man of War was my god. Um,
Oh my God.
Walter Farley was my
Oh,
god.
I didn't know this about you,
No,
Liz. Grew up Walter Farley. I wrote my own fan fiction of Walter Farley called The Big Five Horse Race in 4th grade, and my teacher published it in a little cardboard hardback. I wanted to be a jockey too. I didn't grow up with horses, but then I grew to be 6'3", so that dream went away really fast.
oh my God. I'm so thrilled to hear this. I had no idea. But so you get it. So Man of War was my Bible. I sleep with it. And
I
my
read that book like 5 times. Oh
Oh,
my
right,
gosh.
right. And my brother would open up the page and he would test me and I'd say, just give me a sentence on that page. I could tell him everything on that page. Oh my God. I did not know that, Jason. This is so cool.
Yeah, I have hard feelings about Cyclone to this day.
I
How
know,
dare
right?
you?
And upset. I could take upset out, I
Oh my
know.
gosh.
Oh my God. So yes, I was in love with the thought of being a jockey and I loved to ride and I grew up on this 1,100-acre farm. And so a lot of my early acting was with my horses and stuff. And I'd ride my horse bareback and with no bridle or saddle or nothing and go galloping. And it was incredible. We had an amazing relationship. So then I still want to be a jockey and I'm getting older and I'm getting taller. I was like 5'5.5" and 117 pounds was really too skinny for me. But I'm like, let me try this. And so my trainer said, okay, let's let her ride a racehorse. So, so I worked for a little while for a racing stable and I got on this, my legs weren't up to it yet, with your knees up to your chin kind of thing. And so this owner puts me on this horse. I was just off the Detroit race course, and in a big open field with woods on one end and a busy road on the other end. And then he said, give him a breeze. Well, this horse is like, yeah, I'm going to give her a breeze. So he goes, he bucks, and I'm up on his neck, and this horse starts running and running and running. Every stride, faster, 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 and I'm starting to get dizzy because I'm out of sync. And I'm like, I've got these two reins and I'm like, what am I going to do? I had learned the most dangerous place to be is on the ground. It's like, stay on no matter what. So I'm like, God help me. Like this little voice says, kick your feet out of the stirrups, shimmy back into the saddle, wrap your legs around him, saw the bit back into his mouth, stop him. Which I finally did, of course, after 3 laps or so around this thing. I was a great bareback rider, thank God. And
So you had some strength in there. Yeah.
yeah. And so I dismounted. The trainer, who had not seen that this owner put me on this horse, was a friend of my trainer's who was just wanted to get it out of my system. He was so mad at me. He said, he clocked that horse going at 45 miles an hour. Yeah. So
Oh my God.
I dismounted on my own accord and handed him the reins. He said, don't you ever do that again. And I said, don't worry, I won't. I got in my car and I said, well, I guess I'm an actress.
That was the moment. It wasn't so much that you had to be an actor. It's that, well, that dream's not going to work. Oh, man. I read an article once where they tested like all the various highest level athletes, and pound for pound, the hardest athletic job is being a jockey on a thoroughbred racehorse. And it's not even close in terms of the stress that they put their bodies through. Not even close.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was proven to me that day. And well, I was vying between like, which do I love them both, which do I do? Which do I do? I mean, I could have gone on and been, a 3-day eventer or something, jump. I mean, I also enjoyed jumping. My horse did too. But the actor was starting to, pull me to it.
Yeah.
And I love storytelling. And the other thing about it is that I love embodying the story of this character and this character's journey. And I have,
All right.
yeah,
Yeah, that's great. So I want to pivot hard right away into that, because one of your specialties is the Alba Method.
yes,
Alba emoting, right? So you just use that word embody, right?
yes.
And that's a word I use with my students and clients a lot, right?
Hmm.
That so much of what acting is, it's the external manifestation of your internal life. But then how do you embody not just mental or intellectual truth, and not even just emotional truth, but how does all of that drop into your body? Like I'm working with an actor right now, and you can literally, once you can see the matrix, like I can see the play in his head. It's a one-man show, which we're going to get to too, Liz.
Okay.
But you can see the play in his head, and it's starting just to kind of filter down. Like, so a week and a half ago, it was all just here. All the acting was here. And now it's kind of down into his shoulders, but his feet are still just, nothing's happening below the bust, right? And so we even had a talk today, and I would help him walk through and demonstrate, look, he have to embody the character all the way down to the ground. Right. And I'm just
Yes,
curious now, because there's so many different acting modalities and techniques, but you specifically are a practitioner and even I think co-president of the Alba Method Association
yes.
International, master teacher. My goodness. So I'm betting a lot of my listeners and viewers aren't familiar with Alba Method. And I would love for you to first just kind of unpack it, talk about how you got into it, the benefits of it, and why that kind of became your pedagogical and embodiment model for being an actor.
Yes, I will. Alba emoting, Alba Method. Professor Susanna Block in Chile, working with 2 neurologists, developed this technique originally for actors. So I'll just say this. I'll back this up a little bit. She's in her 90s now, but when she was a young woman, she wanted to either be an actress or a scientist. But at the time, the method was the technique, right? That emotional recall, emotional memory. And she saw, people just turning themselves inside out, having emotional breakdowns. And so she thought, well, I'm not going to do that. So she became a scientist. Interestingly enough, her area was pigeon vision, which I find fascinating. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really, and you wouldn't believe the level of science around pigeon vision. I guess we've learned a lot about vision from pigeons. So I don't know. I mean, remember they used to be carrier pigeons. I mean, I guess they could see.
Right.
They
Yeah.
had been a very valuable tool at one point. So anyway, she was teaching at the University of Santiago in Chile in the 1970s, and she had an opportunity to teach an acting class. And she said, "What am I going to do?" And then she thought, "Oh my God, I have all these actors to work with." So she and a few of these neurologists worked together. They put, electrodes and whatever all over these actors. They had them do emotional recall. And what they did is, as they gathered their data, was that they discovered that there were six basic pure emotions that are universal to every human being: our
Oh,
physiology,
wow.
our biology,
Okay.
our nervous system, how our hormones work. And those six are anger, fear, sadness, tenderness, joy, and erotic love. Okay, I said them all, right?
That was 6,
That
yeah.
was six. Okay, good. And then the very baseline of it is neutral breathing, which is that ready place, right? That you come back to and that you spring from. And then she developed something called step out, which is a technique for stepping out of any of these emotional states, because she figures that if I'm going to bring somebody into this emotional state, they got to be able to get out of it. Because a lot
Safely. Yeah,
safely.
because that's what you were talking about, is
Yes.
that's a lot of the danger of doing a lot of that emotional recall work, is that if it's not done in a safe or loving or protective way, it can do real damage. Like, the body doesn't know the difference between
No,
real trauma and imagined trauma, or real emotion and imagined emotion. The body doesn't know the difference
no,
chemically.
no, it absolutely doesn't. And until you really master this step out, it's even hard for your mind to let your body go there,
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's really, really, really fascinating. And then, of course, we don't live in pure emotion. We live in mixed emotions,
Yeah.
and that's such a fascinating aspect of it, the part of embodying an energy that's required. And yeah, it's been absolutely a game changer for me. Like, so much of the time when someone's angry, they're actually really sad, or they become sad, or if they're angry, they're really afraid, you know?
Right.
Yes, yes, so much of that, and so the mixing is amazing too. And I've used it so much in my work, and I teach it. I also have to add that I teach at Oklahoma City University, and it took me a while to talk the chair into me teaching this class, because it's like emoting. The reason we changed it to the Alba Method is because in the United States, my old friend and another woman, Nancy Lloyds and Roxanne Ricks. Roxanne Rich is my old beloved friend, went to Chile in 1992, and they were the Americans that brought it back to academia, and they were absolutely dismissed because of the word emoting.
Yeah, we have a hard bias against emoting, scenery chewing.
Yes, exactly. But the interesting thing is that Susanna Block, although she's originally from Germany, her family escaped in the 30s and immigrated to Chile. She wrote all of this and did all of this in Spanish. So Alba in Spanish is dawn, and it was like the dawn of emotions.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It
That
does.
is really cool. That is
Yeah,
really cool.
it is cool. It doesn't translate into English though. That's why we call it the Alba Method.
Yeah, that'd be very, even for actors in this country, Dawn of Emotions would sound very frou-frou on a college entrance, whatever.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And we all know, the method. I mean, that's kind of the Americanized version of Stanislavski and all that is, Lee Strasberg
Yes.
codified the method, capital M. And so that's a language I think especially American actors are way more comfortable with. But this is Dawn of Emotions, like, that taps me somewhere deep. I mean, that's really cool.
It is so cool. And I have to say that I had one of the most amazing experiences of my life with Susanna Block. So in 2001, right after I left New York City, um, I started to work with my friend Roxanne to learn at that time, all the emoting. And I took several 10-day intensive workshops with her. And then I started assisting her. And in 2011 or 2011, I uh, uh, arranged a conference in Chile so that we could, bring people from all over the world to go and work directly with Susanna. I had an opportunity to have like 3 days with her before anybody else came, and it was one of my most treasured experiences. And after working with her there, this is when she said, "Okay, you're a master teacher." So, that was pretty amazing. And then I've been teaching it since, but I'll come back to Oklahoma City University. So it took me quite a while to talk this fellow into teaching a class. So he gave me there was a woman who was going on maternity leave, and he said, "Okay, there's 6 weeks left of this course. Teach Alba." So I did, and those kids, those 11 kids, were like so turned on by it that they spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. And then the following spring, I had an opportunity as a special topics class,
Mhm.
and then he was seeing the results on the stage, which was really fascinating, you know? And then, it became more and more popular, and this last spring, I I like to cut it off at, like, 15 people, I mean, that's a lot of people to keep safe,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then 20 people enroll. And I said, "Look, I think we have to just work with seniors or whatever." And he said, "Would you be willing to do 2 sections?" Then 2 sections filled up. I had 17 in one and 16 in the other. And it is now, I mean, kids that come up to me that don't even know me, "You're gonna be teaching Alba, aren't you? You're gonna be teaching Alba Method?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so, uh, it's totally taken off at this university, which
And I don't feel like it's you're pretty singular, right? Are there other Alba teachers in the university system in this country, or is it pretty much are
and
you
there is in Dallas, and, Nancy Lloyd's just retired from Illinois Wesleyan. Um, Roxanne Riggs retired from Kutztown University of Pennsylvania. There is a woman who's teaching it in North Carolina, but there's not a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
and but Nancy Lloyd's is traveling all over the world teaching it. That's her retirement plan. And I've taught it quite a bit in St. Louis.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I've got
Very cool.
several people who've taken that course from me.
All right, so talk to me. You said that the head of the department or the directors of the university productions, they were seeing, as you said, the results on the stage. So, understanding that a lot of the people listening are not trained actors,
Right.
talk through what those results would look like. So how does accessing six basic I'm going to misspeak here and I apologize in advance. Those six basic emotions and blending them. How does accessing those, well, first, how do you access those with this method?
Okay,
And then
okay, so
how do you use that
yeah.
to change the results on the stage? I'm guessing that means like deeper or more authentic performances, but kind of unpack that a little bit.
Well, first of all, what I have to say is each of these basic emotions has a very specific respiratory pattern, facial expression, and body posture, which is either relaxation, a level of relaxation or tension, right? And
Okay.
even within them, say anger at a low level can be just a little tense to absolutely livid tense. So there's range in all of these, right? Right?
There's almost like a temperature dial
Yes,
within each one. Okay.
exactly. There's a temperature dial within each one. So what a person would do is what I do as an actor and what I see other people doing as well, I advise them to do is that we warm these up in your body off stage before you're going on. So you have access, right? You've got access to all of them. And then you just allow to change the breath a bit. And your body, the more that you become adept at this technique, your body just knows what to do. It just integrates and it just knows what to do. You're in the given circumstances, and the given circumstances are requiring, you know, this to happen, and it's right there for you. So that's a lot of what happens. I had a young actress who was in, God, was it The Tempest? No. Oh, shoot. She played Puck. Which one is that?
Oh, Midsummer.
Thank you.
Midsummer.
Hello, Elizabeth, you silly girl. Yeah. And she had to come on with joy a lot. And she would start that laughter off stage, and then it could just carry her because, people might think that joy is an easy thing to do. It's not necessarily easy, not to have it fully in your body, to not like be fake laughing, to have that really induced in your body so that that's happening and happening at the right amount and the right time and all of that. So that was one of the things that this chair saw, that he was like, wow, I really see a big difference in her work and in other people's work.
Great.
So
So let me just press on this a little bit. So the idea isn't that you don't use this in rehearsal to like set the performance in amber. It's not like you're going to do it the same way every night. You'll hit your mark, but the point is that off stage, you prepare yourself emotionally so
yeah,
that to that first word, when you enter, you are fully embodied and you can just react authentically. And it may mean that it's a
yes,
different line reading each night based on what your scene partners are doing or what the audience is giving, but you're not changing necessarily the architecture of the staging. You're not, but you're also not so devoted to one choice that now you don't have the freedom. Like I don't come in with the same joy every time. It's
oh
the
no,
joy
no,
releases me to be interactive with the reality of that moment.
that's precisely it. That's
Great.
precisely
Okay. Oh, I just want to make sure I'm hearing it right.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's precisely it. No, it is a tool to assist. It's like we can't play an emotion, right? That was one of the things I had to convince this chair of. I'm not teaching them how to play an emotion. I'm teaching them to be emotionally available
Yes.
in the area that they're in, so that they can be truly living. They're not thinking about how they're breathing.
Right. Right. You think about it off to get yourself
Yeah,
there, and then you can just stop thinking. You can just stop
right.
thinking.
Yeah, because your nervous system has given you what you need, right? And then you are in the circumstances. And that is also like that moment to moment work. I have to tell you, one of my other favorite things I've ever done is the maid, or the nurse, I should say, in Romeo and Juliet, here in Oklahoma City a couple of years ago. And you know the scene where nurse comes down and she finds Juliet supposedly dead, right? And the director, I just love this director. This director left me alone to figure this whole thing out. So I'm up there um, waiting to go on. And I prep fear, I prep sadness, and then I prep tenderness. Okay. With a little bit of joy. So I got all of this going on because when I first go down there, I don't know that she's dead. And I'm trying to get her to get dressed to go marry Paris, all that kind of stuff. And we had this long, wonderful relationship. I was her, milk nurse, whatever. So So I come down and I've got this kind of lighthearted thing with the underbelly of it, because I'm not happy that I'm doing this, that I feel like I betrayed her. So that sadness and fear is kind of underneath there, but it's just kind of underneath there. It's sitting down there. It's just sitting down there waiting. And then I'm being playful with her, trying to get her to, come on, let's get dressed. And then there's the moment of, then the fear starts to rise.
Mhm.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You know, and then going around and really looking at her for the first time. And then the fear, and the sadness mix. And it's this moment of not even being able to speak. And so that the audience gets it first.
Oh.
The audience gets the opportunity first to witness the horrifying realization before the sadness comes up. So I'm calling out to, mom and dad, you know, I can barely speak. And by that time, literally, the fear and the sadness are closing off my throat. I'm not trying to do it. It's what's happening. I can hardly speak. I get it out. And then, they come down. And then I just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. Just let it happen when it happens, how it happens, different every night. That's just that melting into that sadness that then after the audience has had it, it envelops me,
Mhm.
you know, and not even sobbing like, but just it's like fully embodied. And then I gotta go up, I have to put this shroud over her, and it's just this shame. and sadness, right? That I had let this happen to my girl. So that by the time I'm dragging my body back up the stairs to go rip the wedding dress off the set, because that was the thing, it was like so in me that I had to like basically drag myself up there. And the beauty of that, Jason, is I could do that every night. Every night.
See, that's the key to it being a methodology, right? It's the
Yeah.
replication. It's the 8 shows a week
Yeah.
safely without roaching yourself, without putting yourself to a place where, well, you got through 4, but you're out, you're tapped out, right? Because that's the thing I think we don't realize about ourselves is that our well of emotion can run dry.
Oh yeah.
But if you tap it, if you have those spigots, those temperature dials, especially because the work of the performer, then you're giving, I loved what you said. It's for the audience first and foremost.
Oh yes.
And if you're tapped, you have nothing to give.
That's right. That's right. And then of course after that, when I got downstairs and I mean, I had to let myself very quietly cry it out and then do a major step out, like 3 or 4 step outs. I did.
Okay. Yes. Talk about, so this, I think we're on the same path now. So you mentioned step outs earlier. So you just kind of walked us through this incredible experience, both for yourself and the audience in the pretend world of these given circumstances.
Yes. Yes.
Now you are off stage back in the real world and you
Right.
still have a job to do. You have another scene.
Yes, I do. I have another
So
scene.
yeah, when you talk about step out, is it like a wipe? Is it a ring? Like, what is the technical way you step out so that you can then protect yourself and be ready for the next thing you have to do?
Well, it's absolutely first and foremost based in the breathing. It's bringing the neutral breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth, deep into your belly, bringing that inhalation deep into your belly, right? In through your nose and then breathing out through your mouth. And then it's basically, she borrowed, I think, some yogic movements to help move the energy out of the body and basically calm down the amygdala, you know, like you're safe, you're safe. And you do it a number of times until you're back. And sometimes I'll go and look in the mirror and look into my eyes because I can always tell in people's eyes when I'm teaching my kids, you know, I look in their eyes before I let them go. And I can tell if they still have some in there, right? It's like, okay, we need to go again. Don't just tell me you're okay. I see it, But yes, until I feel clean, until my nervous system is back to stasis. That's where I
Wow.
want it to be. And the other reason why she did this is that so people don't walk away with an emotional hangover that you got to go drink away or something,
Yep. Uh-huh.
you know? That was a big part of it. And it really, really works. And I want to say that it's interesting, like when I teach it to my students, whomever they may be, they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go and do this. And then they think, this really works. Yeah, it really works. But I want to say one more thing about this. Of all the people that I teach, and I know this for myself, and Susanna Block pretty immediately knew it too, that this is, though she developed this for actors, it is so useful to anyone.
I was just going
Emotional
to ask that.
intelligence. Yes.
Yeah, emotional intelligence. I was literally about to ask this, Liz, like, because she was a scientist too,
Yes.
like, what are the applications for mental health, for people with PTS, for anyone with anxiety? I mean, I can only imagine that something like this has to have a parallel version in these other fields that is
Right.
meant to help people deal with. I mean, in this case, we're purposely putting ourselves through it,
I
right?
know. Right. Right.
But for people
Right.
who aren't choosing that, this
Yeah.
has to be I would think it's a tool like box breathing or something else that would help someone just reground, release all that. I'm guessing, but I'm sure if it's been reappropriated somewhere else.
Well, basically, she's one of the people who had been on our board is a psychologist, and he uses it in therapy with some of his people to help them. Okay, you're on the verge of sadness. Now breathe like this so that you can really let it happen, or etc. Other things like that. But I have noticed in myself that if I am feeling anxious, I'm getting scared. I'm like, Elizabeth, where are you breathing? All the way up here.
Mm-hmm.
That's an anxiety breath. Yeah, all the way up here. Or when I am feeling like I need to soften, that I might be, that anger might be coming to me and it's not what I want to be experiencing. Because, and sometimes this is going to crack you up. Sometimes at my cat.
I thought you were going to say sometimes it's Seth, but Cat is okay too.
This innocent child, really innocent child who sometimes drives me nuts. And I'm just like, just breathe tenderness. So I've got another example that's really amazing. I was on an airplane a year or so ago, and I was really tired and I was cranky. And a seat up kitty corner from me, there was this little kid who just wouldn't stop, crying and being upset and all this sort of stuff. And I felt myself start to get angry. And I thought, Elizabeth, that's going to do this child no, it's going to do you no good. It's going to do you no good. So I just started breathing in tenderness. I just started allowing that tenderness to come to me, and I felt it in my face and in my energy. And this little girl, couldn't be 3 years old, felt it, looked back at me, and she started breathing in tenderness too. And she calmed down. And we had this moment where, I mean, we are energy, man. We are energetic creatures. This is what we are. We are energy. And this little girl just she just settled in with it. She just started, tilting her head back at me and releasing it. And then she took a little nap. I mean, it's powerful stuff. Susanna would say, if we could only teach humans the tenderness pattern, how
Oh, wow.
different our lives can be. But the other thing I want to say about it is that I also have the opportunity to recognize what I'm seeing in other people. And you can make different choices that way. Especially if somebody's coming at you like really angry or something.
Mm-hmm.
If they've got wide eyes, they're really afraid. It's so fascinating. So yes, there are many different applications to it in life. And I've had students say to me, "Man, I thought I was taking an acting class, but this is a life class."
Wow. Wow. That that goes across the top of your website for when you start selling workshops.
Exactly. Exactly. And I knew one of my students, I knew him from the freshman, and then I was working with he was in my freshman acting class, and then we worked together when he was a senior. And he had a lot of anger issues that he was trying to mask and hold down and different things like that, and sometimes would react in his mind inappropriately. But through all this work together, he said, "My God, I feel like I have grown, I've matured emotionally." Well, which was fascinating. And then I had this other student who would have panic attacks. She would have panic attacks in her life. Okay. And so we were going to start working on fear. And she was a little bit of afraid of fear, but we're going to take this really slowly, really, really gently. By the time that she really had embodied it, she said, "I'm not afraid of my fear anymore because I know I can regulate it."
Wow. Well, it's empowering. There's an empowerment thing going on here that you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That it's not that we can necessarily control our emotions. It's that it's almost like you're gaining empathy for your emotions.
Well, exactly that. And also when you start to feel it come on you, like fear that can turn into a panic attack, you change your breath. You realize what's happening and you go to neutral. Or you've got more flexibility in it, you know? You recognize it. The thing that's so cool is you're building new neural pathways.
Of course, right. You're short-circuiting habits or patterns that don't serve you and investing in or building new patterns
Yeah,
that can serve you.
that exactly. And you're recognizing when it's happening to you while you still have a choice. before
Yeah.
it just has taken over.
Before you don't right, before you've given the choice away, yeah.
Yeah, before the cortisol's down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Before the chemicals have taken before the horse has run away and you are trying to not fall off.
Exactly. I had one aim, stay alive.
Right, exactly. Oh my goodness, we could go so much further with that. I do want to give some time though, um, to uh the one person show,
Yes.
right? You developed and performed um a play, and you were 9 characters, 3 of them were men, they were all over the place, they were friends. Um uh Talk about how that show came to be, and it'll probably come up how this method helped you do something like that. Playing, I mean, I'm working on a show right now where my actor's playing 15 characters, and we're doing a lot of similar things.
Wow.
Where you have to like, where does that character live, not just emotionally but physically? Does the weight go on the left foot, the right foot? Is it a tilt of the head? Is it a slight raising of the voice? Is it a slowing down of the voice? Right? How many different ways can you portray a different character like that, right,
Yeah.
on the turn of a dime?
Yeah.
So the subject of the play is Patricia Prewitt. I did
Yes.
a little bit of reading, but I'm going to just leave that a runway for you. So who's Patricia? How'd you meet her? Why a one-person show?
Okay. So I'll back up to like 2013 when I was in St. Louis, and I was bored with my life. And I had, I'm telling you, I was bored with my life. And I was having one of those moments of, universe, I'm bored. What do I do? I need to be inspired. I really need to be inspired. So I get a call from Lana Pepper, who wants me to audition. Lana Pepper, yeah, at the actor studio, and she cast me in the play. And there were 3 equity actors, and we all had it was talking heads, and there were 3 individual monologues. So we were on stage alone, and it was fascinating because the character that I played had a woman who she befriended who ended up killing her husband and ended up going to prison, and she became very good friends with her. And anyway, so it was just kind of bizarre. So because the theater didn't have the money to pay 3 equity actors their fee and their, pension and health, she held a tea party after the final performance. At this tea party was an elderly gentleman whom I didn't know at all, who came up to me and he shoves a paper in my hand and he says, "Read this." And I'm like, "Okay." And this is remarkable, Jason, because I, at this point, needed readers to read, but I could somehow read this. And it was a poem called "Toe Tagger Slated to Die in Prison." It's a poem. And I'm like, "Okay, who wrote this?" Like, "Oh, you like it? Here's another one." He gives me another one, "Mausoleum Mortuary," it's this other poem. And I'm like, "Okay, I have to know who this is." And he said, "This is Patricia Prewitt. She's been incarcerated for 23 years for a crime she didn't commit. I'm looking for a woman to write and perform a one-woman play to bring awareness to her." And it was like the universe just went, "Me, me, 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 me."
You're not bored
I'm
anymore.
not bored anymore. Yeah, it was kinda like getting off that racehorse thing. I'm gonna be an actress. So I got to know her very well, visit her in the Vandalia Women's Prison. And she was okay, back this up. This man's name is Danny Cole. He was on the board of Prison Performing Arts. Agnes Wilcox, do you remember her?
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah.
So Patty was part of Prison Performing Arts from the inception when they started, okay? And Patty was like the prison mother of these so many kids. She went in, by the way, when she was 36, and she was just released this last December when she was 75. She got 50 years with no hope of parole. What happened was she and her husband lived south of Lee Summit, rural in Holden, Missouri, and they had a lumber yard, and she was the president of the, um, what do you call it, Chamber of Commerce. And there were drugs being sold in the high school, and the police weren't doing anything about it. So she goes into the high school, she starts educating the kids and the parents about drugs. Her husband, unfortunately, thought he would go and check out the supply trail. Well, you can just guess what happened. And they were getting crank calls. There was an intruder in the house at one point when her daughter was there, and her daughter hid under the bed and saw this guy go in. He goes into the closet. She's under the bed in her parents' room when she's sick. He goes into the closet where the gun was kept and over to the sideboard where the ammunition was. And 2 months later, her husband is shot dead in the middle of the night during a storm. She's raped and she gets pinned for it. I mean, they shut them down. She gets 50 years and they had 5 kids. So she's like, I did not kill my husband. For years and years and years, she was like, I did not kill my husband. Governor Carnahan was going to release her if she could just say that he at least beat her. She said, no, he didn't. This was back right before he died. He died in a plane crash, I think in 1999. And he was going to release her anyway, but he died. And so all these many years later, so I'm commissioned. I meet her. I just adore this woman. I mean, you would adore anyone who's ever met this woman. And she just took all these women under her wing. I mean, she helped thousands of women to have a plan to get out of prison. She would get lawyers who would do pro bono work to help get some of these people out, which she did. She was amazing. She performed in all these things. She took any class she could. So I get to know her very well, just in the nick of time, because I meet her in July of 2013. In October of 2013, I go out to Kansas City. I interview her 2 defense lawyers. One of them said, Phil Carnahan said she was charged with murder but convicted of adultery. Her husband had been having affairs. She'd had some affairs, and they totally tarnished her. They said lust and greed was why she killed her husband, and of course was in complete debt. I mean, the life insurance, the big life insurance, was on her life because she was driving the truck. So anyway, so I get to meet all these wonderful people in her life: her mother, her sister, her father, one of her friends. That she was set up in this trial. It was. Anyway, it was really interesting. One of her best friends, all these different people, her daughter telling me the horrible story about when she was hiding under the bed. So I put all of this together. Danny commissioned me, and her best friend, Nancy Betsy, also did. And so that I'd have a good chunk of money to do this work. And by the way, Nancy Bell helped me with
Oh,
the different dialects.
Yep. All these blasts from the past. That's right. Nancy was the dialect guru. That's right. That's right.
Yes, she was amazing. And she was also in on the meetings, the playwriting meetings, because I took all these interviews, basically, is what I did, and then integrated them. And then Seth and Nancy Bell and God, not off the top of my head, I can't think. But anyway, we would get feedback, and that was really important. And so in 2016, I performed it at the St. Louis Fringe Festival. It won the festival and got her lots of attention. And I performed it many other times. And I did a audio recording of it. So yeah, it was, I got to tell you something. It was like I had a purpose in a way that I felt like I hadn't had in a very long time, which is why I love doing a 1-person show. I mean, it's for a reason, and I can really get behind that. And I was just one of the people who were out there campaigning of the thousands of people to get her out of prison, including the warden. When he retired, I met him before he retired, and he said, you and thousands of people have tried to get her out of there, and it's her in-laws that kept her in there. Her in-laws. But she's free now, and she is doing amazing work. She can't leave the state of Missouri at this point because that was sort of like the deal, you know.
Right.
One of her
Right.
sister-in-law passed, but she's doing speaking engagements, and she's written a book. So this is one thing I would love to put out there. It's Catch Lightning in a Jar, trying to catch lightning in a jar. And it is a series of letters that she had written and received in the first 18 years of her life in prison. And it is such an intimate view of what it's like to be in prison. And I'll say something else. When she first went in 1986, there were like 150 women in the state of Missouri who were incarcerated. There are 5,000 women incarcerated now. They had to build prisons. And yes, and so she's a real advocate. And so please, anybody listening to this, look her up, Patricia Prewitt, Prewitt, her book, Trying to Catch Lightning in a Jar, because of course she has no Social Security
Right,
benefits,
of course not. Yeah. Yeah.
you know? She she's trying to get, Medicare, and she's 75 years old and one of the most dynamic people. If she had not gone to prison, I promise you she would have been a major political figure.
Right.
She would have been.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, I will definitely put those links right in the show notes. And you mentioned an audio recording. I'll get that from you as well. And
Okay,
your
great.
personal website. We'll put all of those right into the show notes. My goodness, we could keep going, but I'm gonna wrap us up here with the spotlight on Elizabeth Ann Townsend. So it's a couple questions here to wrap us up. What is your favorite story that you're currently reading or watching? Uh-oh.
Oh, God, this is so funny. Okay. Well, one of them, the Outlander.
Oh, okay. No shame.
I I love the idea of time travel. I love multiple dimensions. I think I mean, I read many of the books before I started seeing it. My mother turned me on to it. So but I also love Abbott Elementary. So there you go.
Well, okay, there you go. Yeah, yeah. It would depend on what you need each night. That's great. That's great.
Or All Creatures Great and Small if I just need comfort food.
There you go. There you go. All right. If you could ask any one person any one question,
Oh,
who would it be and what would you ask?
this question I have struggled with, my dear. I've really struggled with it. Um, there are so many questions that I'd like to ask so many people, like, what are you thinking? Why are you thinking this? What did you do? Why did you do that? Oh my God, what are we going to do? And I don't want to get political here,
Right, right.
but I would like to. Okay, I'm going to give you two answers and you can keep the one you want. Okay. First of all, I would love to ask the Donald Trump that I knew in New York City what happened.
Oh,
What happened to you? How did you become this? What are you
oh.
afraid of?
Hmm. Hmm.
What are you afraid of? I'd love to. I served him once when I worked for Glorious Foods, a catering company thing, and he was a normal human being. I mean, he was. I mean, for him. So that's a question I'd ask. The other question I'd ask Jesus, what do we do now?
You didn't leave a manual.
You know? And I mean, and that's a really odd answer, but one thing I didn't tell you is that I studied at one point when I was disillusioned with acting, I was going to be a minister. I went
Ah,
to Columbia University in New York City thinking that I'd go to Union Theological Seminary. It didn't take me long to feel, well, women in the 1980s were not encouraged. I felt that it was very political, but I learned a lot about the person, the Nag Hammadi library stuff, the different people who were not included in the Bible and whatnot. And I would love to ask him, if you could say something, what would you say? Which I believe would be, remember, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Love your neighbor. Those with the least are the ones to help. And I think Seth's gonna walk in here in a minute.
it's all right. We're close.
Okay.
What is the best advice you've ever taken?
What is the best advice I've ever taken? Okay, and I love this question. There is, there was an agent that I took a class with in Los Angeles. Well, I wasn't in Los Angeles. He came from Los Angeles to Norman, Oklahoma, where I am. And he said, it's the story beneath the story that tells the story.
Ooh, that's good.
It was just like mind blowing. It was when I think about, as an actor or as a writer, it's like, what your objective is. Why? And then that, and then why? And then that, and then why? And then that thing that's down there so deep that drives all of it. The story beneath the story that tells and drives the story.
Oh, man. That ties right to what you were saying earlier about they may look angry, but they're actually afraid, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
story beneath the story. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
And way down deep, way down deeper, like in the roots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. It still blows my mind.
Oh my goodness, Liz, what a delight to reconnect. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. So last thing on the spotlight, again, what's your website? Where should people learn more about you, Alba Method, hear your play, learn about Patricia, all that good stuff?
Well, my website is elizabethannetownsend.com. And I have an email address that's purely for Alba. So it's albamethod.elizabethtownsend@gmail.com.
Perfect.
Okay. So yay.
That's
And
great.
I would love to teach Alba anywhere or anyone come here. And I'm looking forward to doing another one woman show.
When that's ready, you hit me up. We'll talk again.
Okay, we will. It was such a joy to be with you. Thank you so much for hanging out. This is excellent.
Page and Stage is a production of Canon Story Company, the creative studio dedicated to the art and impact of storytelling. So if you're a playwright, speaker, performer, or memoirist, or even if you're a curious reader or audience member, come check out canonstory.com for coaching, courses, publishing, and podcasts, all in the service of healing the world one story at a time. I'm Jason Cannon, and I cannot wait to hear your story.